Hello, and welcome back to the Talk Pickle To Me podcast. I'm your host, Pickleball Chick, aka Caitlin Kerr. I found pickleball in 2021, and it absolutely changed my life. So thank you guys for being here today. We just finished up the top 10 most influential women in pickleball episodes, which was so much fun. If you haven't had a chance, please listen to some of those. We had an interview with my best friend, Callie. We also had an interview with Casey Brown, the founder of the Necker Island Pickleball Forum. Everyone wants to know about Richard Branson, Drew Brees, T.O., and what that's like. So check that one out. And now we have our first male interview. I'm so excited to have Andrei Daescu here on the podcast today. Andrei was originally...
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
That's a great intro, and I feel very special being the first guy to follow the top 10 most influential women. So, a lot of pressure on me now.
No. Actually, Connor Pardo asked me to be the first male, but you got the seat instead.
All right, I'll let him know. I'll rub it in.
You're the big daddy now. But anyway, I want to introduce you guys to Andrei. Andrei was originally from Romania. He came to the U.S. to play college tennis at the University of Oklahoma, where he became an All-American. He played
baby.
Oh, okay. He played pro tennis for 5 years with a career high rank of 120 in the world. We're going to get into a little bit of that. He found pickleball in 2017 and has been playing ever since. He is top 5 in men's doubles and top 10 in mixed doubles. Andrei continues to dominate the pro pickleball scene. His competitive spirit and his amazing positive partner attitude are characteristics that definitely set him apart. So Andrei is also a husband and a father of 2 girls, I believe.
2 girls, yeah, 6 and 4.
2 girls. Okay, yeah. Andrei Daescu, talk pickle to me.
Let's do it.
All right. Thank you again so much for being here today. And to everyone watching or listening, please take a second, subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, leave us 5 stars. Please make sure you're following us on Instagram at Talk Pickle To Me. Comments are very helpful. Feedback is very helpful. Greatly, greatly appreciate it. All right. So now let's talk about baby Andrei. You grew up in Romania, and I believe your father was a pro basketball player. So tell us what life was like in Romania and about your family.
I did grow up in Romania. My dad was a professional basketball player. He played for some of the top teams in the Romanian league. I was a year and a half old, 18 months old when they had the revolution. They got rid of communism, so I don't remember much about that. But it was definitely an interesting time in the 90s in that transition from the communists to democracy. We had a good time. My dad, we used to go and watch my dad play quite a bit. A lot of times when I would be done with school early, he will take me with him and kind of watch their practice and all that. So I was dribbling basketball and shooting the basketball probably since I was 3-4 years old. And randomly, my dad loved tennis, and during the weekends he used to go out and play with his buddies. And I used to kind of go with him and kind of watch him play and get pretty bored there just sitting on the bench. And obviously they were fun players, so it wasn't the level wasn't that great anyways. And I remember one day there was a lady on the court next to them that was teaching a lesson. So I've asked my dad if I can learn tennis as well, and instead of watching them. And he said, sure, let me go talk to her. And she had some time available, so I hopped over and played some tennis. And really kind of, it was love at first sight. I really enjoyed the game. Got addicted to it right away. Didn't feel like I was, practicing. I was just enjoying being out there playing. And it kind of evolved from being, doing group lessons 3 times a week when I was 6, 7, or 8 years old to getting pretty serious when I was 9 years old and kind of playing every day, competing a little bit. And by the time I was 11 or 12, I was already playing a lot of tournaments nationally and some international as well. So it kind of took off from there. And I'm still trying to, sometimes I joke around with my dad. I'm like, where did basketball go? It's just basketball just kind of fell off the map for some reason. And tennis is what stuck with me. And gave me a lot of fun memories, a lot of good friends. That was kind of how it all started. And
Awesome.
played through high school. I went to normal school. So during the school year, I was actually in Romania, training in the mornings and after school. And then during the summer, I used to spend most of the summers up in Germany, playing some league tennis. They have a really good format over there for up and coming tennis players where you play team tennis. They have some small level prize money tournaments. So as a junior, you get to compete with some adults that maybe are past their prime, but they're still playing very well. So it was really good matches, a lot of tennis. It was basically nonstop tennis during the summers, and it definitely helped my game. And then I got recruited to come play college tennis here in the States. And I picked the Sooners, University of Oklahoma, which was a great decision. Got there in January of 2007, graduated at the end of 2010, and then went on to play professional after that.
Okay, let's back up a little bit.
All right. You really want to get to know baby Andrei, I guess, yeah.
I want to get to know your like family life and your dynamics, because when I get into a little bit later, I mean, you are one of the most competitive players on tour. You're also like such a good, positive partner, but your competitiveness to me drives your success just as much as your positive part. Like giving your partner that positivity helps tremendously. But I think you're going to like every single time you step on the court, I know you're going to give 110%. I don't think that's a learned skill sometimes. I think having a competitive edge in sports, it's like from a young age. So I could be wrong. But when I coach people, I think it's very hard to coach competitiveness in sports. So can you talk a little bit about, like, did you have siblings growing up? Did your parents really push, athletics on you? Were you academically driven? Like, talk a little bit about that side.
Yeah, so I do have a younger brother. He's 3.5 years younger than me, but he tried tennis, didn't really like the fact that he was kind of, you play singles, so you're by yourself out there. He really enjoyed the team sports a lot more, so he ended up playing soccer at a fairly high level as well. My dad definitely pushed sports on us, but not overboard. I think he had the right balance for us where, as a kid, it's so easy sometimes to kind of feel tired or just feel like you want to just go and play with your friends rather than, put in the hours and do the grind. So I think he was very good in setting that direction for us and keeping us focused on what's the task, but also giving us some leeway to kind of go out and play with the kids and do all that stuff as well, but not to the point where it was detrimental to our careers. So he definitely kind of took care of our athletic careers. And then my mom was definitely more involved on the academic side. As a student, I was nothing special, but just went through school. I enjoyed certain classes. I enjoyed math. I enjoyed history. And there were other classes where, unfortunately, when I was that young, if I was not interested in the class, I was really not there, even though I was there. So I think that's something that maybe should have done better as a kid, but I didn't. But yeah, that's kind of where I was academically. Okay. And in terms of how the competitive drive started, I mean, I think we're all competitive. Every single human being is competitive, and every single time you step on the court, you play to win. It does get better, I think, with experience. It does get better as you get older. It definitely did for me. Sometimes when, you realize how things work and how talent plays a factor, but how practice and how work plays a factor and being competitive plays a factor, you really understand how the whole game works out. Then I think you tend to compete a lot harder because that's, those matches that maybe you lose because you didn't practice hard enough or you didn't prepare well enough or, mentally you're not tough enough, you don't get them back. So it's, and you don't get to play forever. So that's kind of what, keeps me motivated. And every time I step on the court, I try to give 110%, like you said, and just try to stick with it, winning or losing, just try to make it as hard as possible on my opponents. And yeah, definitely, I feel like I've done a much better job in my, later years of my professional careers, whether it's tennis or pickleball. I do think it's a little bit of a combination. I think you're born with it. Like I said, I think everybody's kind of born with it, but I also think you kind of sharpen up that skills by just playing sports and being involved with sports and, winning certain matches and getting that great feeling, but also losing certain matches and feeling like crap afterwards. And yeah, once you're able to kind of point the finger at yourself for the loss and figure out what you can do better, then I think it drives the motivation to be super competitive.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you have honed that skill better than most. So you grew up in Romania, and then you said you were going to Germany a bit in the summers, but then you go to the United States, and you're thrown into college life. What was Oklahoma like for you going as a college student?
Well, you got to remember, I went to Norman, which is a college town. So, look, I think the university was amazing. I think obviously athletics are off the charts, as you know. They always have a really good football team. Basketball was great when I was there. Pretty much all the sports. I mean, it was just all across. It was a culture of, you're here to excel. You're here to try your best, play like a champion. It definitely set a lot more structure to my athletic career. We used to, wake up off season in the fall 4 times a week at 6 a.m. and just do physical workouts. We used to, have a very strict schedule in terms of academics, go to class, go see the tutors, get the homework done and everything. And then you have to come back and practice in the afternoon, and then by the time it's 6-7 o'clock, you get dinner and you're kind of toast. So you really had to be on top of your schedule and your time management. Like everybody else, it took me a while to kind of get a hold of that. But I think, again, University of Oklahoma, and I'm not sure, I guess most of the top athletic schools have these things where, the culture is just so good. It's hard to deviate from doing the right things over there. For sure, it was challenging the first semester, just keeping up in class. That wasn't, I could speak English, but it wasn't great. And luckily, we had, like I said, we had the tutors, we had the slides from class, so we can go back and revisit and kind of stay on top of it. And then after my first summer, I felt like I was pretty much good to go, instead of just in terms of keeping up with what was going on in class and school, practice and everything else. And I owe a lot to Oklahoma, not just as an athlete, but as a person as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure that was definitely like a life-changing decision for you to
For
leave.
sure.
I don't know. Were you in a small town in Romania?
No, I grew up in Bucharest, which is the capital. About
okay.
2.5, 3 million people live there. So, no,
Okay.
definitely it was a little bit of a change going to Norman, because it's a smaller town. But like I said, you're just so busy with everything between school. You were a student athlete yourself, you know how it is, between school and your sport. Like, it's not like you can have too much time to waste anyway. So so I didn't really get to feel it. Off season, obviously, I used to go home some. I went back to Europe some. Spent some time, just traveling around the U.S. and playing some tournaments as well. So I didn't spend much time over there off season, but in season, it was a perfect place to be.
Awesome. Okay, so you played pro tennis for 5 years post-college, reaching a career high rank of 120 in the world. And you also played in the 2015 U.S. Open and represented Romania at the Davis Cup. Those are some awesome life accomplishments. Can you describe your pro tennis career?
My pro tennis career was tough, very tough, but great as well. I learned some lessons from it.
Why was it tough?
Well, it's tough. Competition is obviously extremely hard. There's a lot of people who try to make it, and the way the points are structured and the prize money for the tour, it's such a narrow bottleneck. So if you're at the top of it, you're making a very comfortable living, and you're doing pretty well. And if you're just below that top, you're scrambling. Not only that, but in terms of traveling, you're traveling the world. Once you're past the futures level and you go into the challenger tour, you're playing a tournament in China this week, and then you could be in Canada the next week, and then you could be in Germany the next week. So it's not so you're on the road a lot, different time zones, super tough competition. It's tough on the body as well. So it's definitely a great learning experience that I think a lot of people should try to do after college. I think even if you don't make it as a professional player, doing it for a few years will really teach you some good life lessons for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And okay, so when you played at the U.S. Open or when you played at the Davis Cup, were you trying to just like break into that top group, or like how were you surviving? You're making little money at tournaments.
Well, you're definitely
sponsors.
making little money. Yeah, you're making little money. You have sponsors. It's not like you're surviving, let's say, but you're not making the kind of money you can retire from. So you're making enough money to go from week to week, to be able to train and travel and cover all those expenses. Look, playing the U.S. Open was obviously one of the best experiences of my tennis career. being in the same locker room with guys like Rafa, Federer, and all these guys was just super special. And just seeing them train and compete out there and just the way they go about things, it was fantastic. And for me personally, representing Romania in Davis Cup was a nice milestone as well. I think every professional athlete, hopes to represent their country someday, whether it's tennis is tough to do in the Olympics. Now it's become more and more of an Olympic sport, but it wasn't really the most Olympic sport in the past. So Davis Cup, I think, is kind of the biggest country competition that we have. And even though I didn't play that many matches for them, the ones that I played, I really enjoyed. And I will always keep with me.
So awesome. So awesome. You should be so proud of that.
Thank you.
You discovered pickleball in 2017 at Ballin Isles Country Club in Florida, and you've been playing ever since. When you started, did you know you wanted to play pro? What was the vibe?
So I was post my shoulder injury. I was done for about 2 years, maybe a little over 2 years with tennis. I haven't really competed in that time frame. I was doing a lot of teaching. I was the head pro of the facility, kind of run the facility there, and we just had these members that I think played on the cruise ship, and they just kept coming up with that annoying Scotch tape and putting it on the tennis hardcourt, and we just kind of had to deal with them for a while, and look, the number of players just kept picking up, and the game just becoming very popular within the community. And then they just kept telling us to bring some pros and do like a learn and play and just expose the community to it. And we finally gave in and brought in some pros. Kyle Yates was number one in the world at the time. He's a good buddy of mine. He came out. He did it with one of his buddies, Steve Rose, and he came, did a great job just talking about the game. Back then, nobody knew the rules, so he went over the rules. He went over how you play it. They showed a little bit of singles, and then at the end, they asked for two of the pros at the club to kind of jump in and play some doubles. And I mean, we're so back where we play. We had like wooden paddles, so we played with some wooden paddles, and I still had a great time. I was like, man, this game is a lot of fun when you play it. I really enjoyed it, and I went and got myself a paddle. Hit with one of my buddies, Alex, who's now my coach. He played a little bit with me at the start, and we just signed up for a tournament. I think it was about maybe a month after that exhibition, just to kind of try it out and see how the whole thing works out. And back then there were no tours established or anything like that. I still remember we played in an RV community, not a ton of spectators or anything like that, but played, enjoyed it, played some men's doubles there, had a lot of fun. It was great to get that feeling of competing again. I was definitely missing that. And I was like, hey, this could become like a nice little hobby here, and let's see how it progresses. So I was just still working and playing tournaments during the weekend. And then the tours obviously got established in 2019. Major League Pickleball came around in 2020, and that's when it got serious, when you can make a living out of it. And basically dropped down from the head pro position to a touring pro. Balnaz was kind enough to just let me train over there, teach a little bit when I'm around, but use our facilities, work out of the gym and do all that stuff. And just pursued the full-time pro pickleball career, and been doing it now for about 5 years or so. Serious. I mean, I've been playing since 2017, but just on the tour, playing week in, week out for about 4 years.
That is amazing.
Yeah,
I love how you just started playing with the old people like we all did, and now it's grown to become, people are making a lot of money from it, and it's something that you enjoy day to day. So it's
100%.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's nice to get a second chance of competing, being a professional athlete again. And I'll try to make the most of it.
That is very true. You've had a lot of success in pro pickleball so far. You won an MLP championship with the Squeeze in 2023, which, by the way, such an epic team. Anna, Zane, and Rachel, I believe.
Yep.
And you've had a hell of a last few years. Many people believe that you are the number one men's doubles player in the world right now. How do you feel about that statement?
I think it's hard to make that statement because you just said doubles, so it's about teams. I do think at the moment, based on the way we're playing, Christian and I could definitely be considered the best team in the world. I think we've obviously beaten a lot of the top teams. We're off to a really strong start of the year, but there's a long way to get to the number one spot. There's guys who had a lot of success in the past. They still have a lot of points, so we're trying to stay focused on the task ahead. We're trying to play the best we can. I feel like our partnership is working great, and I think on any given day we're the best team in the world right now. Yeah.
I love it. I think your competitive fire together. I love the chest bumps when you guys win. It pumps me up. It pumps me up. But do you guys
good.
do you have six, like, what do you have together? Like 6 months, a year? How are you guys doing it?
I usually do it by quarters.
Okay.
So we had the first quarter, obviously that's how we all started. We definitely have the second quarter. I think we've already talked about. I think we're really deep into the third quarter as well. And look, we live so close to each other. We get to train together quite a bit, and yeah, you just go basically quarter by quarter. There's a lot of things that change in pickleball, so you don't want to book yourself too far ahead. But yeah, the partnership is working right now, and for the foreseeable future, we're gonna play together.
Have you won the last 3 men's doubles titles?
No. We
2?
no, the last one obviously in Red Rock this past weekend, and then Dallas. I played with Dylan, and we got fourth.
Okay.
We lost to Gabe and then Ben. The long semifinal, 12th, 10, and 3rd.
When you played with Christian, though, did you
When
win?
I played with Christian, we won.
I think you won.
Yeah, we won both of those in Arizona, and then we won the one in Utah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you won every one with him.
We lost in India Wells. We got bronze. We lost to Ben and Colin in 3 over there. That's the one that started the year. Yeah.
Okay, that's true at the start. What do you think is the secret sauce with this partnership?
Yeah. I don't think there's one thing that is the secret sauce. There's a lot of things that go into it. I think our energy gels really well. I think our chemistry on court now, from a tactical standpoint, is getting really, really good as well. I think our playing styles also match very well. Christian plays. He's a very strong guy. Plays very aggressive. I could play aggressive as well, but I could also slow things down when needed and kind of play the momentum a little bit. I just think we're pretty versatile, and we can play a lot of different ways, and I think that's kind of the key to success for a lot of the teams that had success in the game of pickleball. You can't be too one-dimensional, otherwise those guys will figure you out pretty quickly, and it gets pretty tough.
Yeah, I had Lee Waters on the podcast, I think 3 podcasts ago, and it was really interesting because obviously she's coaching Christian, she's been coaching AL Dub, and the way that she's been coaching Anna Lee is to become the best athlete possible, not just regardless of pickleball or not, become the best athlete. And then she really wanted her to be multidimensional and be able to play 2 sides. Now, both you and Christian can play the left and the right, so I think that's definitely a strength. If you get stuck on one side, it's definitely not the end of the world, and you can play it out. But I think you definitely bring different strengths, like you said. I think he's more aggressive. You can be more calculated, I would call it. You can keep the point going for long, but you also have
we can adjust the game plan for sure because of that. Yeah, so we could definitely depending on who we're playing and how we're feeling that day and all that kind of stuff. That's the nice thing about it. We can adjust a little bit and do the things that work that day. So that's very helpful.
Yeah. Okay, you've been playing for 5 years. Who all do you have on your team? You mentioned you had a coach.
Yeah, I mean, I started with Alex Pop. I think you know him from the MLP days, but he played with me for about a year and a half. And when we played the local tournaments, actually going back to Lee remembers those tournaments in the RV parks as well. She played quite a bit until she had a rough injury at Indian Wells, but she used to play a lot as well. And I remember, I think it was 2018, if I remember correctly, we were up in the crowd at Indian Wells at Nationals, and we were watching Anna Lee play in I think it was the 12 and under, or at least like maybe the 14 and under tournament over there. And you could tell right away that she had the fire, and she was such a solid player. But she had a combination between skill and really wanting it. And we were kind of joking around that she's going to be a stud one day. And then here you have it, where she's obviously the superstar of the game right now.
Yeah.
So I started with Alex. He's my coach now. And I definitely try to surround myself with people that can help my game. I have somebody that I work with for conditioning. I have somebody that I work with for the mental side of the game. Alex obviously helps me with the technical and tactical part of the game. I have a physio that I work with. So, you definitely need a team around you. You can't do it by yourself. So I try to put the right people in my entourage. And then I'm also obviously super lucky that I have a very supportive wife and family that allow me to travel 30 plus weeks a year and do this, because it's obviously not easy on the family. So
I don't
yeah.
know how that was actually going to be one of my questions. Is your wife an angel? Because she has to be. I don't know how she does it. I get mad when my boyfriend, I've been with him for 7 years, but when he goes, he works 4 days a week. He's a detective cop, and like he'll work 4 days a week and then he's off 4 days. But the 4 days he works, he is gone. And I'm like, if I have a child, that means I have to do everything.
For sure.
How does she do it?
Sure. Nah, she's definitely a hero. I mean, she somehow gets it done. I don't know how she gets it done, but she somehow gets it done. She does a great job with raising the kids as well. I mean, they're both, playing sports, playing an instrument. My older one is in school now, and she's a very good student. So yeah, I don't know how she does it, but she gets it done. And I try to play my part when I'm at home. I try to kind of relieve as much of her duties as possible. She'll tell you otherwise in terms of my skills around the house and all that kind of stuff. But we found the winning formula so far. And look, I'm not going to be doing this forever. So it's as long as my body can take it, we'll try to go with it. And every time we have tournaments close by, they came with me to Cape Coral. So it's very nice to have them around for the Cape Coral PPA. They're going to come with me for the Orlando MLP, the Atlanta PPA. So everything that's close enough, they'll make it with me. My older daughter is 6 now, so maybe in a couple of years she could be old enough where she can maybe travel with me to some of the tournaments that are a little further away. And yeah, just kind of putting the puzzle pieces together. And it's a constantly changing puzzle, but like I said, I'm lucky to have my wife on my side and supporting me and doing all those things.
It is. You are very lucky, because that is not an easy task. And like you said, it's almost, it's like, it is a career, but it is a very fun career that you have. And it's, there could be tension at some points but at the same time, I think she realizes and you realize that it's temporary. Like, this isn't going to be forever. And this is like something that we should relish in while we have it. And, was she from your home? Like, where is she?
Yeah, she's Romanian. She's Romanian as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But look, and she knows. I mean, we've known each other since my tennis days, so she knows how this whole thing works out. And look, I'm not saying it's not a fun career, and it's that. Look, we're definitely lucky to be able to play professional pickleball, professional sports for a living. But it's not all glamour and glitz. It's you gotta obviously, a lot of the times the days are pickleball courts, hotel, dinner, wake up, play again. Like it's not one of those where, let's say right now I'm in North Carolina, I'm not going to go and visit stuff around here. It's not like I was in Arizona and I love hiking. I didn't get to go on a hike. Like it's one of those things where it's not like you can get to go out and party and like we play in Vegas and you're in bed by 9:30, 10, So it's obviously a lot of fun to compete. Obviously a lot of fun to, like I said, to be playing sports for a living. But yeah, she understands that, the body takes a beating as well. And there's a lot of things that you have to do that are maybe not as fun as playing that go into it. So, yeah. Yeah.
No, totally. I don't want to take away from that at all. I think there is, every time I've played, you want to get off your feet immediately to give your body as much rest as possible. But that brings up another point. When we went to India, we were at the same tournament together in February of 2024.
Yeah. What an experience that was.
What an experience. I think you won every division possible. But more impressively, I think I saw you doing the craziest stretches and having the most insane flexibility of any man I've ever seen.
Yeah.
When did you get
You're selling me too hard right now. Yeah.
I am not. No, you are Gumby. You are Gumby. You are.
I do not do the splits and all that kind of stuff, but I'm definitely fairly flexible.
It is insane. So your body takes a beating. You're 37 years old. You're competing on the pro tour. Was this yogi stretching a result of an injury? Do you do it like talk to us about your yogi stretching journey?
Well, it's not just the stretching that's part of it. As you get older, I guess, but even when I was in my younger days in college, you learn about recovery and how important recovery is. It's not so much, injury prevention, but it also just feels so much better when you take care of your body the next day, and you can just play a lot longer when you do those things. So stretching obviously is the one that I do between matches, so you can see it just because you're at the courts over there. So I'll probably be in the pro lounge, just trying to stay loose between matches, so trying to stretch and all that. But I do a bunch of ice baths. I do obviously some sports massages when I'm home. I travel with a one of those Terra guns. I have those compression pants as well. So you just try to kind of give back to the body as much as possible, take all the soreness and inflammation out, which is easier said than done. But you try to do as much as you can to keep your body performing at the highest level. So this is definitely something that started maybe in college, with a stretching routine and all that kind of stuff, and it's continued to pro tennis, and it's continuing now through pickleball. I think you hear a lot of pro athletes, not just in pickleball tennis, but other sports as well.
Tom Brady.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so if you get a football player, obviously they're super strong, and and they're still talk about flexibility and stretching and all that, and I think there's science behind it as well. So it's very important to stay loose and have that kind of flexibility and balance, I think.
Yeah, but I mean, your flexibility is off the charts.
Well, when you spend half of your life doing it, I mean, I've been stretching, I don't know, 2 or 3 times a day maybe for the last 20 years. It tends to get better. Trust me. It wasn't a great start. I was off to a pretty rough start there as a tall guy. It wasn't the prettiest sight, but like everything else, with practice and time, it just gets better and better. And now I'm definitely fairly flexible. I don't think I'm super flexible. I've seen people that can do stuff that I can't get near that, but I'm definitely flexible enough to where I feel confident, sliding on the hardcourt and taking certain jumps and doing things where, I feel like my body's going to hold up.
Yeah. I mean, it shows what discipline can do. I think that you are in a unique situation where you went from being a pro tennis player, you have this second career basically in pickleball, you realize that this is a huge opportunity, and I feel like you're just taking the most advantage of it that you possibly can. And
for sure.
I say this, I've said this in a lot of interviews, that I don't think a lot of the pros are really treating it like a professional sport. It's definitely gotten a lot better over the last, say, 2 years. The people at the top and others are definitely coming. The people that are coming in now are definitely taking it more seriously. There's been a trajectory since I've been involved since 2021. But you are one that definitely does. I think you try to do everything that you possibly can to set yourself up for success. So that's been
100%. Again, it's nice to have a second shot at anything. So just being able to do it after I was done with tennis, and just finding this 2 years later, when I thought I was done playing professional sports, it's given me a second chance, and definitely trying to make the most of it.
Yeah.
And when it comes to the pros, like you said, things have changed dramatically. I mean, even in the past, you had a lot of people who worked hard, but now there's no chance you can be at the top without working hard. These guys are putting in some insane amount of hours on court, off court, training their bodies, so it's impossible to kind of take it easy and still be at the top of the game. So the market has changed quite a bit in the last few years, and you either change with it or you get left behind. So luckily, knock on wood, my body's held up, and hopefully I can continue to train as hard as I need to train to try to stay around the top.
Just one quick question on how you prepare. How much time do you put into watching film versus working on new shots on the court? I mean, it's hard to quantify, but are you watching a lot of film of your opponents? Are you watching the patterns that they're playing? Are you, not spending as much time on that? And are you, working on new shots, working on new patterns with your partners? Like, it
all depends on how far you are from the tournament. I think we all have a structure when it comes to our training. I think the closer you are to the day of the tournament, the more you're going to watch video and still do conditioning, but flexibility, balance, stuff that's not going to take too much out of you. And I think if you're in preseason, for example, and the next tournament is, 6 weeks away, then you're definitely going to be spending a lot more time maybe on strength, long distance runs. And if you're going to watch any video, it's probably just to address some technical issues that you have in your game, but I don't think you're going to watch any tape on your opponents when your next match is, like I said, 6 weeks away. So I think it's just a function of the way you structure your training and how many tournaments you're playing and when you're playing those tournaments and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I think you should got to do everything. Yeah. I think you should definitely watch video, again, for tactical purposes, for technical purposes as well, with your coach. And I think you should, yeah, I mean, it goes without saying that you got to put a time in on court, but also off the court these days as well.
And from a training perspective, again, when you're going out and you're drilling with a partner, whether that's another pro or you have your coach drilling with you or whoever that is, do you go out every session with a clear plan in place? Like, I'm going to be working on 2 shots today, my 3rd shot drop and my, forehand speed up off the bounce? Or do you kind of go out there and they're all like competition drills where, you're, I don't know, like you make 1,000 dinks in a row or something is what Annalie was doing with Lee Waters. Do you do that?
Yeah.
Like, what's the training regimen?
No, if you break it down to the technical part and you're out with the coach, then it's definitely not competitive. It's more, you get fit, let's say, on 10, 15 balls, you hit that shot, you have somebody taping it, and then you go and you watch video and you're like, okay, this is working out or this is not working out. You analyze it, and then you go back and you do it again. And you definitely have specific shots or specific technical things you're working on for sure when you step on that course. So, I don't know, I have an hour and a half, and these are the things I have to get done in the next hour and a half. When it comes to training with other pros, for the most part, you're playing points. It's not easy to get 4 pros at the same time, the same spot. So you kind of try to use that time as much as you can to play points. But look, most of us have set partners. So you're obviously working on certain things with your partner as well, whether it's unwinding stacks, not unwinding stacks, who's attacking, where do you think, are you driving and crashing, are you dropping, that kind of stuff you can definitely do as you're playing points. So it's different. I think with the pros is a lot more point play oriented, and I think individually with a coach it's just more technical.
That's really helpful, I think, for the audience to understand. They always are asking me what pros do to get better and what they can be doing. So I think that's some things that people can take back.
Well, the best practice is still playing tournaments. There's no way around it. So you can fine tune yourself for tournament, but at the end of the day, you cannot replicate that atmosphere that you have when you're playing tournaments. So I think that's, competing and playing in an actual tournament, it helps with your focus, it helps with your physicality, it helps a lot of things.
It's very different. If you haven't played a tournament, play a tournament and tell us how it is. I mean,
100%. Yeah, you hear these people saying, "Oh, I'm not ready for a tournament." It's, if you think you're gonna be training yourself into a tournament, it's wrong. You play tournaments to kind of see what you have to do in training. It's the other way around. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very true. All right. So, any rule changes you would make to the pickleball sport game in general?
Oh, no,
you like it what it is?
Not a deepest thinker out here. So, no, I think it's fun with around the post the way it is. I think it's nice with the Ernies. I think everything should stay the same. Obviously, the equipment has changed the game a lot in the last few years, so I think they definitely have to get under control in terms of deflection. That's obviously the biggest obstacle right now, the biggest hurdle in our game. Yes, we do have paddle testing, and yes, they have gotten a hold of the science behind it, but it's still pretty much the Wild West out there. So you got to keep in consideration the fact that we're only 14 feet apart from each other. And look, there's other sports that have found where do you draw the line? I don't know it myself, but you can look at golf. They had an issue with deflection. You can look at baseball. Obviously, they had the issue with deflection. So we're a new game, especially at the professional level. So look, I think the UPA is taking the necessary steps. It's definitely moving in the right direction, and I'm sure with a little more time they'll nail it to the point where they really control it down to a science, as opposed to right now it's still feeling a little bit loose.
Yeah. No, I think that's right. Everyone's talking about the paddle technology, and I think, when I got involved back in 2021, I think there was 100 paddle companies, and now there are thousands. So, everybody wanted a piece of the pie, and everyone came in quick, and everyone realized that people wanted faster, hotter paddles. So that's what companies started making, and there was little guidance and oversight from.
Well, that's how we got out of control, obviously.
Yeah.
With all these companies, but like I said, I really think the PP and the MLP have done a great job just reeling it back in a little bit, and controlling the number of paddle manufacturers that are in the game, in the pro game, and controlling the testing has gotten better, the deflection factor component, and they're still looking into doing a better job of that. So it's definitely getting there, but that's kind of how the whole market out of control. Anybody in the back of the garage could come up with a super hot paddle, and now all of a sudden, again, like I said, you're 14 feet apart, and I can only imagine from an amateur standpoint, you just rifle one other person, and it's got to be pretty tough to get out of the way, So it was out of control. It's definitely moving in the right direction right now. We're not there yet.
Any goals for the next couple years?
I set certain goals, but it's mostly about myself. Physically, I need to continue to try to stay as close as I can to my peak. I got to look after my body, look after my recovery time, make the most out of the off seasons in terms of building myself up.
Is there
strength.
An off season?
Okay. It's getting definitely more structured. Look, this last year was definitely brutal, but this year it's after it depends on the team you're in and all that. But after the second MLP, which is in Columbus for us, we do have we have Atlanta PPA, and then we do have about a little over a month, I think, until we play the MLP in San Clemente. So that's definitely enough to take maybe a week off completely and get the body back in shape, and then spend 3 weeks and just train and do a really solid training block in there, and just go into the second half of the year with your body ready to go. So there's definitely more opportunity now. I think if you schedule accordingly, you could definitely make the most of it. So as a personal goal for sure, making sure that my body stays in top shape, my mind as well. You always gotta continue to grind and just find a way to be relentless and stay highly positive, and which is much easier said than done. But that's the most important thing, because I have to be able to compete 100% every time I step out there. Otherwise, it's kind of pointless to go out there. And then from a technical and tactical standpoint, that's hard to really set up that goal too far ahead, because, like I said, equipment is obviously changing the game. So you never know. There's all sorts of different tactics and things that are coming into play that were not around, let's say, 3 years ago. So you kind of just have to continue to monitor the game, see what's changing, and just try to stay on top of it, stay sharp with that.
Yeah, you brought up MLP, and I think a lot of people were taken back that your Phoenix Flames decided to trade you the Columbus Sliders. You were with your bestie Doug Hirsch. I got to give Doug a shout out. Love Doug.
Doug's a great guy for sure.
I actually was like, what questions should I ask him? And he's like, well, he's known his wife since he was like 10 years old. He's basically like Gumby. He likes to play chess. He likes go-karts. I'm like, go-karts? I remember that being in your MLP profile. But
Yep.
Anyway, so let's go back to the trade. Were you shocked that you're kind of like...
No, I was definitely not shocked. Look, this is something we discussed. Obviously, Phoenix Flames, they got bought out. Doug is still involved, but they got bought out by Charles Darling and a bunch of other investors from the Phoenix area, and I think overseas as well. And I was in touch with Charles about it, and we were discussing, and he made it very clear. Look, he's trying to rebuild the whole program over there, and he's got maybe a different way of doing things, and he was kind of move some players around and all that. And I really appreciate it. I told him I really appreciate he was so forthcoming with me, and at 37. I felt like, look, they definitely have a great roster right now, but I just felt like I shouldn't take a chance with a team that's rebuilding and just try to put myself in the best position to try to win another title. Columbus obviously has a super strong roster. Phoenix has a very strong roster as well, but they made some trades after I got traded, and you can't really control what happens afterwards. So I definitely happy where I ended up. I was happy with the process. They were very transparent with me and forthcoming. And look, it is a business at the end of the day, and I completely get it. I was not surprised at all.
Okay, you are professional to the word, to the end degree. You speak so well. But yeah, I think a lot of people in the pickleball world kind of saw the moves that the Flames were making as more of like a marketing play, and Columbus was trying to win. And so I think that's interesting, and we're excited to see it all play out. MLP starts in Orlando in less than a month, which is going to be exciting.
For sure. Can't wait.
We'll see if I'll be. They asked me to host, so we'll see if I decide.
You better do it. You did a great job of hosting in the past, so we need that kind of energy.
Thank you. Yes. All right. Last question: if you could have anyone as a dream pickleball partner, who would it be?
Yeah, no wonder you left out at the end. Look, again, it's tough because it's double, so you're playing. With certain people, you have to play the right. With certain people, you have to play the left. And you've played yourself. You know how different of a skill set you need on both sides. So I think it's extremely hard to pick one person. I just don't think that's possible. I've definitely gotten better on the right. Playing with Ben in Florida was an interesting experience, a great experience. I spent about 10 days before that tournament just sharpening out my skills on the right. I do think it's different. You have to play a lot more calculated on the right. You have to do things a little bit different. I think it's less physical also being on the right. Being on the left, you have to move a lot more. You have to cover a lot more court. So it kind of depends on who you pair it up with. I've really enjoyed last year playing with Gabe. I've really enjoyed the start of this year, obviously with Christian. I think is a great teammate and a great player. Both of these guys play mostly the right. I mean, with Christian, we definitely switch around a little bit as well, and he plays the left too. So that's a nice thing to have. I've enjoyed playing that tournament with Ben. Definitely, again, like I said, it was me playing on the right, so it was quite an interesting experience. Personality-wise, I really enjoyed playing with Zane during the MLP days. Just the whole squeeze roster in general. I think we had such a tight-knit group. Yeah. We really enjoyed playing together on the court, but hanging out and all that kind of stuff as well. So, those are kind of the players, and I'm sure I left people out. But it's hard. It's not hard. It's impossible to pick one in doubles because of the whole thing that goes into it.
Yeah. Real quickly, just to piggyback off of that, you're mixed. Like, I definitely think you're in contention to be top player in men's doubles. In mixed, I wouldn't put you in the top position yet. What do you think that you can improve in your mixed game to get to that top position?
Definitely spending more time on it. Look, this past off season in the winter, I spent a lot of time watching video for men's doubles, preparing myself for men's doubles. Yeah. And there's only, 24 hours in a day. So, now that I maybe put myself in a very good spot for men's doubles, I can dedicate a little bit more time to mix. And, I think it's moving in that direction. And, I'm really excited about the second half of the year. And you'll see, hopefully, a better mixed doubles player in this guy.
By the way, you're amazing. I'm not saying you're not amazing, but we can't argue that.
No,
I
completely agree with you. I could definitely do better than what I'm doing right now. And look, you always strive to do better. So there's things that I can do better. And I'm on it.
I mean, I loved watching you. I think it was it Austin, Texas? I think it was at the PPA Austin last year when you won with Anna Bright.
Yeah, that was on in Austin.
That was fire.
Yeah.
I loved you too.
And then made some runs with Megan as well a couple of times. So
I know Anna likes playing with you. But anyway, all right.
Playing mix with her as well. She's a fiery competitor for sure.
She's the best.
She sure is.
She competes hard. She wants it. She's dedicated. She'll watch film. But that makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's all about the preparation. You're a great athlete. I'm excited to see that you compete the rest of the year. I'm always cheering you on. So thanks again for coming on to this podcast. I really appreciate it. Give a inside scoop into the Andrei Daescu brain for all of the listeners out there. And it's just been a pleasure to watch you on tour the past 4 or 5 years.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. I enjoyed it. And good luck with the show.
Thank you. Okay. Last thing you have to say, talk pickle to me. I told everyone in the sexiest way possible, but I'm erasing that part now instead of the one. So just say talk pickle to me.
Well, talk pickle to me.
Woo! Okay, thank you all so much for tuning in to another episode of Talk Pickle to Me with Andrei Daescu. Please make sure you subscribe, follow us on Instagram at Talk Pickle to Me, and come back for the next episode. New episodes drop every single Wednesday. Last but not least, Andrei Daescu, where can they find you?
They can find me on the PPA Tour this weekend, competing in North Carolina. They can obviously find me on social media. They can find me on MLP, playing for the Columbus Sliders.
What's your handle? What's your handle on social? That's
Andrei Daescu PKL from Pickleball. So yeah, you can find me over there. A lot of stuff that I post over there, so you guys can keep up with with my pro career and everything else that goes on with it.
Awesome. Thanks again for coming on. We appreciate it.
Thank you.